My father was the son-in-law of Don Gardner. Don Gardner had two daughters. One was not in the business at all. My father married the other one, Helen Gardner, and he started working for Don Gardner back in the 40s. And my father had a tough road to hoe in satisfying Don Gardner's desires for what he wanted my father to be. I was the oldest child, and I had two brothers and a sister, and I went to college and thankfully graduated. And then I joined the company out of college as a district manager up in Detroit, Michigan. Many people have gotten married that have worked for Gardner, including me. My wife worked for Gardner for several years, and Marty and I got married, and she moved up to Detroit with me. And then in 1974, one of our editors called me up on the phone and said, "You know, Rick, it's time for you to come down to Cincinnati. Your father's not working as hard as he used to, and I think that you'd be really helpful for the company. And we've got a bunch of people in their 40s who are thinking about, are we going to stay in this company or aren't we going to stay?" So I came down to Cincinnati, and I was really afraid to go to my father and say, "I think it's time for me to come to Cincinnati." But I got my nerve up and I went, and he said, "I think that's a great idea." And I came down, and several years later, I was named president of the company. And one of the things I noticed when I got to Cincinnati, people were very reluctant to change. And they liked it the way it was. They resisted change. They were afraid of change. And now with our company, if we weren't changing, people would be upset and worried about us. And we then built several new brands and different brands as time went on. And I had something to do with the company we are today. Well, a little bit about the history of Modern Machine Shop and the way it got started. The first issue of Modern Machine Shop was June 1928. And in that first issue, Don Gardner gave his vision of a different kind of magazine for the metalworking industry. Time passes, conditions change, the world progresses, and those who are found keeping pace with the new order of things are those who are young enough in mind and spirit to recognize the value of the new and to make themselves part of it. And we believe that is true today as it was in June of 1928. Yeah, one thing I think is important with Gardner that I did help Gardner understand the importance of it was international. When I started with the company, we tended to be provincially American, let's put it that way. We had an editor by the name of Ken Gettleman, and Ken understood that we had to become more international. We started doing that during a time when most of the machine tool industry were domestic companies. But today, with the emergence of machine tool builders and accessories and cutting tools from all over the world, it has paid off for us. We have relationships not just with the companies in the United States, but we know most of the owners of these companies, no matter where they're located in the world, and we have good relationships with them and try to treat them well. I think what made us unique and what still makes us unique is the articles or the content that we provide in the magazine. People who run shops are interested in what other shops are doing. So we report on those other shops, and we give our readers or our audience information that not only do they just like it, but they actually need it. And the more they need it, the more loyal they are to us as readers and part of our audience. And I've stressed to myself and to our employees that I want us to be in a business where we're doing good, that we do good for people, that people who work for us understand we're doing good, and people who work with us know we're doing good. If you're not doing good, if you're selfish or you're greedy, then you're not going to be as successful, I don't think. So do good. There's a sort of an old saying that the founder creates it, the second generation builds it, and the third generation kills it. I failed in that I think the company's better today than when I started as a third generation. And I'm also very proud of the fourth and fifth generation. They've really stepped up and they're doing a fantastic job. Marty and I were married 55 and a half years. She taught me a lot. She was the kindest, nicest person in the world. Customers and customers' wives loved her. In fact, when she died, I got several cards from customers who said, I only met Marty once, but when I met her and when I talked to her, it was like I was the most important person in the world. And that's the way she was to anyone in the company or anyone outside the company. She was just a wonderful person. I'm so honored to receive this award. I've known Al Moore for over 40 years. I knew him when he was in Gleason Corporation. I knew him at 2 stints as president of AMT, and then he also was on Gardner's board for several years. It's a great honor because Al's such a wonderful guy, a great leader, convincing, always honest, always truthful, always exact in what he wanted and what he expected of people who worked for him. It's a great award, and I'm so thankful that I've been selected to achieve it. Thank you.